We did have the Nepal thing, but I feel like we can't really do it justice, or should we touch on it?
Well, it'll be you because I actually haven't looked into it.
Okay, well, let's touch on it. So essentially the Nepalese government tried to ban social media to regulate misinformation.
Well, hang on. Was this in response to unrest already taking place?
Look, I to be honest, I have
so
a
that's what I
very
mean. Like,
superficial thing.
I haven't had the chance to look into it, but yeah.
So
okay.
there's definitely an uprising. And look, Nepal has gone through absolute turmoil in recent years, you know, earthquakes, poverty, and they share the border with China. So there's a whole lot of territory issues.
Yep.
And also, I would say exploitation, because look what's happening to Everest. Like, it has been an aspiration of mine to climb Everest, and now I won't do it just for what is happening up there.
You literally have a queue of people trying to get to the top.
Everything just gets so commercialized, and because
Walking
it's
past dead bodies.
yeah,
Like it's crazy.
The dead bodies are the markers. There was a body called Green Boots, which was like up in the death zone, which would be keep going this way, and then you get to, you know, Hillary Steps or whatever it is. So. There's a lot of issues with Nepal, but
I blame Norgay Tenzing. If he hadn't have gone up to the top with Edmund Hillary that first time around, then you know we wouldn't be in this mess today.
Do you know why I want to go up there? I just feel like there's something about being that close to the stars. Like, that's, you asked me what the latitude, longitude was on my car.
Your car,
yeah. And I have to get asked that now.
Yeah.
So my whole tagline for my old company was live, superlative, not as a statement. And no one knew what that meant. And then, because I love to leave what I call Easter eggs, and apparently they're too sophisticated, so people don't understand what they are.
Sophisticated Easter eggs.
Yeah, well, I just think too much, apparently. So I put on the coordinates, and I've also got it on my arm, which I don't know if you can see. The coordinates for the peak of Mount Everest. And I think that there should be no limits on your aspiration and your pursuit of excellence and achievement. And that's why I thought, like, what better way to demonstrate that than to climb to the highest point of the planet?
I will climb Mount Everest when they build a cafe up there where I can have eggs Benedict in the morning, right? I like the civilized world. I think that is conquest in its own way. We have conquered nature and the wildness of the planet in so many ways. I'm good with that kind of conquest.
I just think that there's something pretty magical standing literally on top of the world.
I don't doubt it, and I will high five you when you get back down to the bottom.
I don't think I'll do it now. I think I feel really deterred from it, just what's going on, unless things dramatically change. And look, to be honest, I don't know if I'll be allowed to, given my my physical issues. So, but so there is an uprising, and so what happened was. The government buildings are now on fire, and the Nepalese,
that's like the government building, isn't it? That's
it's their parliament.
Yeah, their parliament.
It's been set ablaze as violent anti-corruption protests rocked the nation for a second day, prompting the Prime Minister to resign. Crowds have taken to the streets in the capital city of Kathmandu for a second day on Tuesday as demonstrators called on the government to tackle corruption, following a social media ban. At least 22 people have been killed in the unrest.
Okay, so can we pause there, not just blast over that? So this is a level of unrest where people are being killed by security forces. Like this is well beyond whatever we saw in Melbourne during COVID, etc. This is a whole nother level again. And this is one of the reasons why I just don't know whether Australians have what it takes, because I suspect that in Australia, if that were to happen, a couple of people started getting killed, run over, shot, whatever, I think a lot of people would just go home.
Well, yeah. So
whereas they doubled down.
So what's interesting, like they keep talking about Gen Z, and like I said, I have a very superficial knowledge of this, but let's read this article together.
Yep.
Some students rallied in school uniform in what has been called the Gen Z protests, calling for the government to overturn a ban on platforms like Facebook, X and YouTube from operating in the country. I didn't realise they were banning them completely. Authorities have responded violently, opening fire on the crowds, leaving at least 19 people dead. The anger that saw thousands rally in defiance of a curfew a day later ran far deeper than concerns about access to Facebook and WhatsApp. Everybody is flying out of the country for jobs. People are facing poverty here. The roads are terrible. And so, interestingly, I've saved them.
Did we switch to an article about Australia?
No, but it sounds a lot like it. So this is what's doing the rounds on social media. So these are the politicians' kids exploiting their wealth. And so what a lot of Nepalese kids are doing are putting these two videos together, showing what's happening, the devastation of Nepal, and contrasting it to the nepotism.
Yeah.
And, you know, like Gen Z is enamored with socialism. They believe in redistributing wealth. And look, to be fair, they have a point here. Nepal has been obliterated by exploitation.
Yeah. And when it's come from corruption, you know, government is a servant of the people. No one should be getting rich. You know, Nancy Pelosi saying it's nobody's business how I made $100 million while I was working, you know, as a public servant. Well, sorry, it is everyone's business. How you made that. No, when it comes to corruption, I'm all for taking off people the proceeds of crime. That's whatever riches they have gained. If they've gained it through corruption, that does not belong to them.
Yeah, so it's pretty chaotic. So essentially what I'm reading is that there's an uprising of the poorer class, and a lot of these politicians have been forced to flee, and they're being bashed. They're being thrown in the river. The wife of one of them has been killed. And I guess this is what happens when you push people too far.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying I understand it.
Yeah.
And that's...
And this is such an important thing to realize. When you take away from people a peaceful means of change, of improving their lives, of leaving to their children a better life than what they had for themselves, when you systematically remove from them every peaceful option, they go for the other one.
Yeah.
You know, the politicians imagine that the problem goes away. If we just make sure they've got no options, then the problem goes away. No, if you make sure they've got no peaceful options, they go for plan B.
This is worth reading out, but at the heart of the anger is a sense that Nepal's democracy has been betrayed. Nepal has had multiple movements for democracy, but it is still being kind of hosted by the very autocratic, lazy mentality. So even though it looks like a democracy on paper, people have not been able to realise it. Since the abolition of the monarchy in 2008, Nepal has struggled to build a stable democratic institution. Governments change frequently, and political parties are often dominated by a handful of ageing leaders. Ms. Rai has described a system captured by dynasties and loyalists. These old leaders of these old political parties, they have this kind of very nepotistic power structure. They're children or henchmen. There's a lot of resentment to the nepotistic, feudal, loyalist political culture. And I understand that. I get that.
Yep.
And I sense that it's so interesting, the nepotism thing, because Gen Z is furious about it.
Yeah.
You know, people who have got successful parents, famous parents getting a leg up. And there's a huge element of that in the entertainment industry.
But even in politics, look at Hunter Biden and how much
100%.
money he's been able to make because of his dad's connections. Even to a certain degree, I don't think that this is a terrible example of it. But look at Pauline Hanson and her daughter getting into politics in Tasmania. She ran and wasn't able to get in. And then when their New South Wales senator stepped down, allegedly for health reasons, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, she should just appoint her daughter up in New South Wales to become a senator there. And to her credit, she said, well, actually, I think it was the daughter actually, to her credit, said, no, that's not how this works. And she wanted to stay in Tassie and do her thing there. But yeah, an opportunity for, nepotism. I'll just parachute my daughter in.
Yeah.
You know, and thankfully that didn't happen in this case.
Yeah, and you see it a lot. Like I think most famously recently was David Beckham's son, Brooklyn, called himself a photographer, and he released a photography book of some of the most rubbish photography. And to be honest, most of them he was in. So it wasn't even his photography.
Wow.
It was photos of him.
Yeah, okay.
And it was one of those classic cases of the only reason this got made is because you're David Beckham's son.
Yeah, and no one has had the compassion, the love for you to tell you, no, this is really, really dumb and you're too stupid to see it yet.
Yes.
But I'm going to save you from yourself, and in 10 years you'll thank me. So normally on a podcast like this, when you've got two people, one of them is the brains of the operation and the other one's the eye candy. In this case, I have to be both, which is, oi, excuse me, this one's, Carly, this one's about me. I have to be
It's
both.
actually about me.
Seriously, I have to be both, which means I need lots of coffee, lots of caffeine. So you can help me to get lots of caffeine by scanning that little QR code there so that I can just carry this podcast on my...
And subscribe because I'm ridiculously good
Seriously,
looking.
Carly, can you not... Wow. She's such a center of attention, isn't she? Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Bye.